Hey there, pardon me. Hey there, folks. I want to go over a few things as we wrap up our grid drawing. And, here's a tile from a little game thing you can see. You know, I'm just in my sketchbook here, so nothing needs to be perfect. I'm just doodling around. And while I know this isn't a grid drawing, it is a pencil drawing. And I want to point out a few things that hopefully here at the end of this grid drawing process will like boost the level and really make our drawing even better. So, as you can see with some of these, I just here I've been drawing a bunch of birds lately, and those are only a fraction of them. I find it fun. There's interesting textures and interesting colors, and it's just fun times. So with this, if I think about trying to refine my drawing and add a little bit more to make it better in terms of more accurate, in terms of better contrast, maybe a little bit better textures, because there are some places where I want there to be some texture. Even though I'm doing smooth shading, I want some texture. And there are some things in this, like up here, obviously, like I was doing some hatch marks. But if I'm in my grid drawing, I don't want to see hatch marks. So how can I go back and and I would say adjust that and make it better? One way is to come through here and, I'm going super light in my values, and really all I'm trying to do is quote unquote fill in some of those gaps. Like my shading is kind of as light as I can get it while gripping my pencil right here. If I wanted it even lighter, I would hold my pencil all the way down here. But I can come through here and I can add a little bit more in order to disguise those pencil marks. Now, I don't want it to get too dark. So what I might do is use just the end of my eraser and just kind of dab. And it's hard to see, but if this is my paper, I would just be kind of not rubbing back and forth, but just kind of like lightly dabbing. So I can come through here, and I get some graphite here on the end of my pencil, so I might have to go on a scrap piece of paper, right, and clean my eraser off, and then come back here and dab a little bit more, and then I just don't want it to look like smudge shading, and then I can again smooth that out a little bit more. If I'm getting some areas where it's pretty obvious I can see my pencil marks because I went kind of fast in here, I can go through there and smooth that out as well. My edges, I can use my eraser, kind of make that edge a little bit cleaner. And then if I need to, especially if I want this to blend out a little bit more, right, I'm making it intentionally darker, and then I make my marks a little bit looser and a little bit softer as I come out. And what that allows me to do is to get a smoother transition from this medium value to this medium dark value over here. Now my eraser, it's actually a great drawing tool, and I know I've mentioned this in a couple of different videos before, but if I come through some place, let me look through here. So maybe I have a little bit of light area in parts of the wing, or maybe down here I maybe got something a little bit too dark. I can come through and I can erase part of that. Part of the problem is that's too wide. So once I erase some of that, I may need to come back through here and add some more graphite. And the way I kind of refer to that and think about that is like shaving it down. So if I erase something and it's too wide here, if I do a little bit more shading on each side of it, I can make that area a lot thinner, or get it to be wider and taper out to like a point even. So I can come through here, and I made both of those thinner. This thing that I did down here, I try to match the value that was there before. And I can end up getting a really light mark in there. Sorry, a really narrow white mark in there. And I might have a few of those. The other thing that I can do, that's what I think of as subtractive, right? It's kind of what I did up here on the donut, is I drew all this stuff out first, and then I erased through with my pencil, and then I went back and I added just a touch of other things in there. So if I want to add some texture, if I want some feathers or some fur or some hair, you know, there are, I will say, like if I have somebody's eyebrows, and I'll just draw like a generic eyebrow shape right there. I want to shade, do my basic base coat of shading first, but then I may come through in a small area, and I may have some lines that I draw up there. You know, never ever draw somebody's eyelashes just with a pencil line. But this is only there to supplement shading that's already there. And just like in this part of the wing here, if I, you know, what I know from having another picture out in front of me is some of this and what's happening here is, because I have this base coat of lighter values in here, I can come through and even if it's just barely darker, it's going to give me a little bit more contrast, but it's also going to create more variety and more detail. And that's one of the really nice things about smooth shading, is the amount of detail that I can get in there. I think the last thing that I want to mention is we really want to eliminate our shapes. So I don't see the edge of the wing here or even out here because of the value, the shading that I have there. But like these lines right here, this line on the edge of the wing, that's no good. So either I need to come through here and lighten that a little bit, and or what I need to do is make sure that the shading in that part of the wing makes it so that I can't see this. So down here, I would need to add a little bit more shading in order to make it so that the line that I drew from my initial shape for that wing doesn't really show up. Again, if I do this in layers, so I do a light value, and I come back, it's less likely that that's going to show up and be problematic. Now again, I will repeat that this is not a grid drawing. I am not working from the same kind of process that you are, but towards the end of the process, coming back and using my eraser and thinking about how I can subtract some areas out, but then add back to it with pencil to make things a little bit more specific, how I can create second or third layers of value in here to give things a little bit more detail and definition. Even if some of those marks look like that, that is different than just one little tiny hatch mark like that. It's subtle, and you have to really be paying attention, but I can come through here and do those marks and still have it technically look like and be some smooth shading. Pay attention to your contrast, get those transitions through layers, and give me what you got. This is the perfect opportunity to go back and to like tweak and adjust some things once we have seen some examples, and then also had a couple days away from it so we could look at it with fresh eyes and then see how we can go and adjust a few of those things. Some of this is going to apply to many of you. Some of this may not apply to you yet, but take that opportunity for sure. And you know, as always, have fun and let me know if you have questions.